Good afternoon. You're watching KBC Channel 1. This is the lunchtime news on the 1st of October 2020. Glad that you spent time and you took time to be with us. I'm Regina Manyara. Now let us focus on stories that have made headlines in the last few hours or so. And we start off with matter of, diplomacy, where President Uhuru Kenyatta is in France for a 3-day visit that will see him preside over the signing of business deals with the local consortium. Now, the president is, among other leaders, expected to meet French President Emmanuel Macron at the LC Palace. Now, the head of state will also deliver a keynote address at the BPI France Annual General 2020 Business Forum in the European country's largest international innovation and entrepreneurship extravaganza, which brings together hundreds of French companies to explore investment opportunities abroad.
President Uhuru Kenyatta arrived in Paris Tuesday evening for his official visit to France, where he was received by his French host Emmanuel Macron. Upon his arrival at the Elysee Palace, President Kenyatta inspected a guard of honor mounted by the French military at the start of an elaborate state reception ceremony. The two heads of state then witnessed the signing of 3 bilateral agreements before leading their delegations at a state banquet hosted in honor of the visiting Kenyan leader. Among the agreements reached is a public-private partnership in the construction of the Nairobi-Nakuru-Mau Summit Highway signed between Kenha and Vinci Concessions. During his visit, the head of state will deliver the keynote address at the BPI France Inno Generation 2020 Business Forum, the European country's largest international innovation and entrepreneurship extravaganza, which brings together hundreds of French companies to explore investment opportunities abroad. According to Kenya's ambassador to France, Professor Judy Wakungu, the president's visit is a continuation of the historical bilateral ties that have existed between Kenya and France over half a century.
When it comes to French citizens working in Kenya, there are very many. When it comes to Kenyan citizens working in Kenya, we have over 2,500. Our relationship is definitely growing from strength to strength.
Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
Now, away from matters of France and now back to the local scene where the Cabinet Secretary for Labour, that is Simon Chelogoi, he's addressing the press as well as persons who are attending this day's celebration for the Day of the Elderly. Let's have a listen into his speech.
The issues affecting older persons such as neglect, abandonment, violence, exploitations, and more recently, COVID-19 pandemic. The theme of this year's celebrations is pandemics. Today change, how do we address age and the aging? The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the older generation cannot be underestimated. It has been reported that the highest number of people at risk of contracting and succumbing to COVID-19 has been older persons and those with pre-existing medical condition who mostly fall in the older person's age category. The pandemic has brought to light some of the underlying structural weakness, not only in Kenya but also around the world, cutting across sustainable development goals on poverty, eradication, good health, education, income, water, sanitation, economic growth, reduced inequalities. Older persons are confronted by higher risks during pandemics. Therefore, it is imperative for governments like our government to put in place interventions that will help reduce the vulnerabilities. According to 2019 census, the population of older persons 60 years and above in Kenya is 2.7 million against a population of 48 million Kenyans, which constitute approximately 6% of the country's total population. And that tells you that it's not easy to reach the end that was explained by the officer from Alpage. 2.7 million people out of 48 million Kenyans is such a low number, and therefore this is a resource that we need to care, we need to nurture, we need to protect, and we need to support so that we continue to draw on their collective experience and wisdom. The government of Kenya commitment to support and vulnerable persons, especially older people, is demonstrated through implementation of social protection programs across the country. And this has been articulated very well by Keshigi, a head of social assistance program, and Mrs. Cecilia Mbaga, and the director, the Children's Services Secretary, that Kenya government has established now, and according to our program, the vulnerable.
Now that is the Labour CS there, Simon Chelogui, addressing that particular forum there, as you know, Kenya also marks the Day of the Elderly, and he's also expected to address the striking, the nurses' strike at Kenyatta National Hospital there, and we have our reporter on ground and will bring us, details of that particular, presser and what he's going to say going forward in that regard. Now we cross over to the entertainment industry, where the Kenya Film and Classification Board has actually launched an African KFCB, hashtag KFCB African Folktales launch, and our reporter Timothy Kipnusu is on ground to just tell us what has happened and what is going to happen in as far as the local entertainment industry is concerned following this particular launch. Good afternoon, Kipnusu.
To you, Regina Manyara, there at the broadcasting house. Yes, indeed, just as you've mentioned, I'm coming to you live from Hilton Hotel, where Kenya Film Classification Board is overseeing the launch of an animated film from Professor Egara Kabaji, a film that is tailored at promoting local content. Remember, at least 2% of the content that is shown in the world, it's coming from Africa, and that is a very something that needs to be worked on. And I'm joined by the Chief Executive Officer of Kenya Film Classification Board, Dr. Ezekiel Mtua, just to paint a picture of this particular day, what it means to the film industry. Many things indeed, Professor, Dr. Mtua, joining us in KBC Channel 1. Perhaps you can crack the bone about this particular day and what it means in promoting the animated films, particularly for children, to ensure that we do not have harmful content for our children.
Thank you very much, Timothy. First of all, let me say how grateful I am to Professor Egara Kabaji here. Professor Egara Kabaji worked with KBC for many years. He ran a program called Books and Bookmen for 14 years running. And so he's an icon, a trailblazer in his own right. And just to put this in perspective, we are here to launch his productions of animated films based on African folktale. And that means African stories, African folktale animated into film that gives our children the right perspectives about our Africanness, our Kenyanness, and therefore, instead of them aping the West, reading Harry Potter and other foreign literature, to also understand that Africans have their own culture, because we have a challenge where our children are only imitating heroes from the West. Heroes from America, from Europe, forgetting that we have our own heroes here. We just saw in the animated film, in the production that Professor Egara Kabaji has done, a hero called Muhonji. And when you look at the character of Muhonji, it's a character that our children can relate with in their own environment. So that the stories of heroes are not just white people. Decent people are not just white. Great people are not just white. Even professors and scholars and great men of the book must not be just from other countries. We appreciate them and we read a lot about Shakespeare, Chinua Achebe. But we also have our own Professor Egara Kabaji. And we have our own Dr. Ezekiel Mutwa. We have our own David Mulwa. We have our own, local writers and great people. And so we want to tell our kids, focus on your own. Look at your environment. Your environment defines who you are. You cannot be defined by Western values because you are not living that life in reality. And so when you ape those foreign cultures, you end up contaminating your mind. So what the professor has done today, working with us and allowing us to launch this film, is filling a gap that has been there, where when KFCB bans certain content, then we are not giving an alternative. So if we say this is bad, we don't have sufficient content, local content, to say you don't watch this, but watch this. And professors come in with the Ngara Kabaji animated films based on African folklore that will tell about our African stories and narratives that will encourage our kids to relate with our culture and our values.
Where you sit as the Chief Executive Officer of Kenya Film Classification Board, perhaps you can tell us what we need to do as a country to ensure that we have so much of this local content.
Thank you very much, Kip Nusu there, keeping up with what is happening during this launch. Remember, now KFCB has also further on is working with the music industry players to put together an award platform to award musicians and film producers who support clean content campaign. The artist may as well get 1 million shillings. This is according to Dr. Ezekiel Mutwethe, who is the CEO of the Kenya Film and Classification Board. This is just the launch of African folktales, animated folktales there to just help push the African agenda, stories told to better suit us as Africans. Well, kudos. Now, still keeping up with that and what is happening in the entertainment industry is that the Kenya Film Commission has launched a project to identify young talent among children aged between the age of 4 and 16. Now, the Commission's Chief Executive Officer Timothy Owase says the initiative, dubbed Shining Stars, seeks to nurture young children in creative writing, filmmaking, photography, music, gymnastics, and fashion. Children under the age of 18 now have a platform to showcase, nurture and prove their talent thanks to the national government support. The Kenya Film Commission is partnering with entertainment experts in guiding and tapping talent through Shining Stars initiative. KFC's CEO Timothy Owase says the initiative, dubbed Shining Stars, seeks to unlock creativity in young people.
Our children want to learn their heritage. Yeah. Our children want to get to understand what is happening around them. Yeah. Our children also want to enjoy themselves by just being them. Yeah. So give them an opportunity to do that. Yeah. Today, gaming is huge. Yeah. Esports, we talk about animation, filmmaking in general. Yeah. This industry provides room to create so many jobs.
The Shining Stars initiative is a talent development program and a performing arts platform for kids aimed at discovering, nurturing and celebrating talent among children. According to Owase, the initiative seeks to awaken the creative mind in learners and empower them to develop talent from the nascent days.
The more we create it and make it work, the more we make our country vibrant. So for us at the Commission, for the parents who've come here today, I want to encourage you and encourage others that you've made a wise choice. Let's do this and let's meet here every after 90 days. I believe the movement we are creating is a movement that will take us somewhere visible. Wow.
Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1. Beautiful there. Now, normal business at Kitui County headquarters was paralyzed for hours as the county workers staged a peaceful demonstration to protest delayed salaries. Area Governor Charity Ngilu had to move in and assure the county employees that they would have their salaries before the end of the week.
The aggrieved employees marched from the Kitui Stadium through the Central Business District CBD to Governor Charity Ngilu's office demanding the dues. The salary delay is said to have been occasioned by bad blood between the county assembly and the governor. This was after Governor Charity Ngilu rejected the budget estimates which the Assembly approved on June 30th this year, citing extensive amendments as opposed to the 1% legal threshold allowed. The Kitui Workers Union Secretary General Benjamin Munyalo said the pull and push between the governor and the MCAs had seen the workers go without pay from July.
Unataka nini? Tunataka pesa. Unataka nini? Tunataka pesa.
He further lamented that the delay had caused untold suffering to county employees who cannot meet their basic needs and provide for their families.
Unajua tukupata mshahara mwezi wa 8, mwezi wa 9 mpaka wa leo tukupata mshahara. Wafanyakazi wameuliza swali. Wanauliza kama tumefanya kazi na miezi imeisha, manyumba imefungwa. Wafanyakazi wengine pia hata mabibi wametoroka. Niambia na jamaa mwingine alisema kwamba sasa niko kwa shida. Bibi yangu ameenda kwa vile nikimwelezea ananiambia nimepeleka pesa kwa ile nyumba nyingine. Ndio leo tukamua Your Excellency the Governor plus the top leadership. Hao wafanyakazi wako mbele yako. Wamekosea nini kwa county government ya Kitui kama hatujapata mishahara? Na nini imeleta shida? Tumeambiwa stori mingi lakini leo mko hapa. Tungependa tuambiwe haki ni nini na pesa tunapata leo ama tupati.
Ngilu assured the protesting workers after the differences were sorted out.
I'll take you through the process. Once it is approved by the county assembly, it goes for gazettement. Once it is gazetted, it will be put in the IFMIS. So I have reason to believe, working around the clock, by Tuesday, Wednesday, you should have your 3 months salaries in your accounts.
Now, away from Kitui County, Planning Principal Secretary Saitoti Teroma says the dissolution of Parliament will not serve, or rather will not solve, the 2/3 gender rule. Now, speaking while on a tour of Baringo, Teroma said Kenya has made achievements on fronting women to public service appointments and called on the electorate to vote in women during the elections, as legislating for such a venture would be futile.
Planning Principal Secretary Terome Saitoti says it is only the Kenyan electorate that can decide on the 2/3 gender rule constitutional requirement. Terome wants voters to support women empowerment from national elections.
That is in 2013. There are no women who are elected as governors.
Terome, however, dismissed Chief Justice's advisory to dissolve Parliament for failing to enact the 2/3 gender rule, saying such a move will not cure the problem. According to Terome, improved strides have been made in having women to public service appointments.
But then when it comes to appointment, where, for example, even the PSS where they are appointed, or ministers, or even ambassadors, even nowadays you even have ladies who are actually county commissioners and regional commissioners. That one is the same because it's just appointment.
The PS was speaking in Baringo during the launch of dissemination of the second African peer review mechanism. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
On that note, we take a short break. When we return, we're going to be focusing on other stories that have been making headlines since morning to date and what we expect to have in the course of the day. Do not go away. We'll be right back.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola. Taste the simple joys.
Excuse me, who is this trying to call me with his gadget? Please, before you call me Professor Ouma, you should have a telecommunicative device. My friend, we professors, we do not work. we locomote. We do not drive problem boxes, yani probox.
To get Professor, bonyeza star 811 star 759 hash. Dial star 811 star 759 hash.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Ha! Stupid is an understatement. Talk of crazy. Crazy is outdated, honey. Why do you think I got the ring and not you? That ring should be on my finger, you homebreaker.
Hey, Tisia, my brother. Sikuza Mwizi has caught up with you.
I bet you three feel pretty stupid for fighting over a man who clearly doesn't deserve your attention.
See you. We both know that's not true. We both know that's not true.
Everybody stop! Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Good afternoon. This is the lunchtime news on KBC Channel 1 and I'm Regina Manyara. Now, the government has begun identifying forest cut lines in a bid to curb frequent skirmishes linked to land ownership disputes in the Eastern Mao Forest in Nakuru County. Clashes in Sweet, Mariashoni, Ndoswa, Kaprop, Kapnoswa and Kapnoswa areas have left scores of people dead and thousands displaced.
The government has moved in to end the perennial land disputes in parts of Nakuru County. Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembea says Kenya Forest Service is undertaking a multi-agency operation to reclaim Logoman, Sururu, Likia, Kiptunga, Mariashoni, Nesuit, Baraget and all Posimori forests within the Mao Forest Complex. Natembea, who addressed a public baraza at Nesuit, said a team will work with 40 elders from both the Kipsigis and Ogiek communities.
Vita inatoka kwa hapo bwana county commissioner ani asanti Kenyatta ameokoa hiyo vita sababu wangepigana hata na semi chao.
Those who acquired parcels of land legally in the region will be issued with ownership documents.
Misitu ni ya serikali. Wananchi ni waje tu balance hizi vitu. Tuone watu watakaa namna gani na misitu tutakaa nini? Tutakaa namna gani? Na tuanze kwa principle kwamba tutajaribu kadri ya uwezo wetu kuhakikisha kwamba kila mtu ambaye alikuja hapa legally kwa njia nzuri atafanya nini? Atakaa.
In July, the Environment and Lands Court in Nakuru issued orders barring the government from evicting people from the Eastern Mao complex. The court noted that evicting people would render them homeless during the COVID-19 pandemic and the consequences would be catastrophic.
No, I have to know. That is why you went to court. Agiek walienda kotini miaka mingi. Na pia nikaanza yangu nikasema pia I need a right. Kitu mimi nataka ni kusema kwa nini mniiti ama tuitane tuketi mnionyeshe mnafanya hivi.
Local leaders say over 45 locals being evicted have valid title deeds issued by the government in the years 1997, 2005 and in 2013.
Now, a family in Nairobi's Geshe area is in distress after their 27-year-old son went missing 3 weeks ago. Clifton Lubuya, a second-born in a family of 7, was last seen at his workplace in Roysambu.
It has been 21 days of agony for the family of Clifton Lubuya, the second-born child in a family of 7. Clifton was last seen at his workplace in Roysambu.
Kijanangu alipotea wiki 3 zilizopita. Lakini hapo baadaye katika zile wiki 2 ndio nilipata ripoti ya kwamba haonekani. Nilipigiwa simu na ule kijana mwenye wanauza na yeye kwa shop kusema ya kwamba hajaona Clifton for the last 2 weeks na alikuwa anataka kujua kama Cliff ako nyumbani. Mimi naishi Gashie. So nikamwambia hatujamuona.
According to his mother, Lynette Namai, the 27-year-old lived alone in Ruiru, kwa Ruiru area.
Alikuwa amepoteza simu. Kwa hivyo mawasiliano imekuwa ngumu. Hatujaweza kuwasiliana na yeye.
Clifton was last seen in a khaki brown trouser, long-sleeved grey shirt and black shoes.
Wananchi pia popote mlipo mnisaidie ya kwamba niweze kupata kijana. Anaweza kuwa ako tu mahali, ninaamini ya kwamba ni mzima, ako mahali, lakini kwa vile hana simu, labda ndio kwa sababu haja communicate. Nimejaribu kuongea na marafiki zake, kila mmoja anasema tu, Cliff nilimuona 2 weeks ago. Cliff nilimuona 2 weeks ago.
The family reported him as missing at Juja Police Station on the 25th of September. Anyone with information on Clifton whereabouts should contact the family on mobile number 0722 453 894. The number once again is 0722 453 894. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
That's an appeal from a mom calling on to the public. If you have come across her 27-year-old son, that is Cliff Lubuye there, kindly get in touch with her on that particular number that has been read out by our reporter Irene Mchuma there. That goes, it's 0722 43 5894. 0722 43 5894. Let's help Lynette Namai get her son back. Now, crossing over to matters of religion, where a section of the clergy has urged parents and religious organizations to positively engage young learners in a bid to save them from the allure of substance abuse and other societal vices. Now, the clergy have argued that the prolonged closure of schools has the potential to negate efforts made by learning institutions in instilling discipline among children.
The Anglican Church in Waso, Isiolo County, has opened its doors to children in the region with a view of creating a safe environment for their psychosocial well-being.
Wakati corona ilianza na shule zikafungwa, na tukarealize ya kwamba vijana sasa wako nyumbani na wakiwa idle, mambo mengi inaweza fanyika. Mzungu anasemanga an idle mind is the workshop of the devil. So tusipo engage kama kanisa, dunia inawagoja na ili ifanye mambo mabaya na iwafundishe njia ambazo si nzuri.
The program includes activities such as Bible studies for spiritual nourishment, baking and cooking, as well as dancing lessons that help keep the learners physically fit.
Katika life skills tunawafunza sana kupika, pia vitu za practicals zile hawezi funzwa nyumbani. Wakija hapa tunawapea hiyo, we give that knowledge to them ili wakienda nyumbani wasaidie na pia wasaidiane na wazazi.
The cleric is urging other religious organizations to replicate the magnanimity in a bid to save children from the allure of vices such as substance abuse and crime.
Kwa sababu tangu shule ifungwe mwezi wa 3 mpaka leo, kuna uwezekano hata wengi hawakumbuki walikuwa wanasoma subject gani. So wanakuja, tunajaribu kuwa guide, na hiyo tunasaidiwa. Kuna wanafunzi hapa ambao ni wanafunzi wa university ambao wanawasaidia wale wa secondary school. Kuna wanafunzi wale ambao pia ni wa university ambao wasaidia wale ambao ni wa secondary school, na pia kuna wanafunzi wale ambao ni wa secondary school wanasaidia wale wa primary, na sisi wengine tunaendelea tukiwafunza na kuwafundisha pia na kuwaonyesha vile inatakikana.
The lessons begin at 9 a.m. and end at 1 p.m. every Monday, Wednesday and Friday.
Now, pub owners in Kilifi County have embarked on renovating their premises after the government allowed reopening of bars within the country. Now, the chairman of the Kilifi Bar and Restaurants Owners Association, Eric Mwashigadi, lauded the move by government and committed to whip members to adhere to the COVID-19 prevention measures put in place by the Ministry of Health.
Bar owners in Kilifi County have started renovating their premises in anticipation of the return of patrons. Proprietors of bars and restaurants had borne the brunt of the COVID-19 pandemic, with most being unable to pay rent for their premises, while many workers were laid off. The chairman of the Kilifi Bar and Restaurant Owners Association, Eric Mwashingadi, says they are happy with the government's decision to reopen bars and restaurants. He said pub owners had committed themselves to follow all the laid down coronavirus containment measures and asked patrons to adhere to the protocols for their own safety.
We are pleased with the move. Although some of us were on our 24 hours, we are still optimistic that very soon, maybe after the 90 days curfew is over, then we will continue with our own business. But we are still feeling it is much better to open bar and sell beers up to 10 o'clock.
The move was also celebrated by taxi and boda operators who said many of their customers were bar patrons.
Vile ambavyo mabaa at least yamefunguliwa, ijapo muda ni time za kufungwa mabaa ni kidogo, lakini pia pengine kutatokea mabadiliko fulani.
Now we focus on matters of business, where the Coast Development Authority has unveiled the first water bottling plant in Tana River County, which has been sourcing the products from Nairobi or Mombasa. Now the Coast Development Authority Managing Director Dr. Mohammed Kainan says the bottling plant that has a processing capacity of 4,000 bottles of water per hour will serve Tana River and the neighboring counties of Garissa, Lamu and Kilifi.
The Coast Development Authority says the new production line at the Galole Fruit Processing Factory, located on the outskirts of Hola Town, will source water from River Tana. Coast Development Authority Managing Director Dr. Mohammed Kainan says projects by the institution in the coastal region are being aligned with the national government's Big Four agenda of universal healthcare, affordable housing, food security and manufacturing.
This water will be distributed to the nearby markets. We have Hola, county headquarters Hola, we have Lamu, we have Garissa, we have Kilifi. So we are trying to serve the local population water need. We are going to sell our water at a factory price.
Hata rais katika agenda zake 4 amezungumzia kuhusu swala la manufacturing. Okay? And therefore being here today is really exciting because CDA has proved that we are feeding and we understand the president's agenda for Agenda 4, being one of it is manufacturing.
Kainan said the new venture will complement the 30 metric ton mango processing plant that lies idle when mango production is off-season. Area residents have welcomed the investment, noting that it would create jobs and help reduce the cost of bottled water.
Amani maji inatoka Mombasa, Nairobi ni ghali, lakini saa hii tuko inatoa hapa Tana River na ajira wa kazi kwa vijana. Tuko hapa Tana River saa hii, tunashukuru sana.
The water bottling plant is projected to generate 6 million shillings per month.
Now, the process of merging of West Fund, Women Enterprise Fund and Youth Enterprise Development Fund to Biashara Kenya Fund may take longer than the Parliamentary Committee on Delegated Legislation rejected a new regulations proposed by the National Treasury. Now, the parliamentarians who spoke during a republication meeting publication meeting questioned the level of the public participation undertaken and regretted that the gains made through the individual funds could be lost if the merger process was not carefully handled.
The formation of Biashara Kenya Fund aims to ensure youth, women, persons living with disabilities and small enterprises access low-cost business loans from one agency. National Treasury Principal Secretary Dr. Julius Muya says the merger would see the 3 funds being merged into Biashara Kenya Fund save at least 555.6 million Kenya shillings annually incurred on administration.
Eliminating duplications, operating costs among the 3 funds will lead to significant savings. And we are looking at areas like rent, we're looking at cleaning services, security, transport, utilities, and related overhead costs that then would be subject to reduction.
Some legislators say the proposed Biashara Kenya Fund could disadvantage women.
You have consolidated, and then women will get 30%. And you have shown, obviously, they have been overtaken by the youth, because the youth are benefiting at 40%. So for me, as a woman representing women from the grassroots, I would oppose the regulation even on that first score, because even the Women Enterprise Fund now was a bigger fund.
You still can retain the three funds separately, but merge the management at the top. And it will be very easy. So what we are seeing here is an effort to create a new bureaucracy which is what we were running away from the beginning.
The committee wants the Treasury to do away with the proposed 17% of the fund that is to be channeled to micro, small and medium enterprises.
So if this financial institution gives 700 million, it means that as a matching fund, it means they will be entitled to lend to up to 10%. But they only pay the fund 1%. So they'll be making 9% from taxpayers' money.
You have donated public funds to crooked financial intermediaries. They come and exploit manage at 10%. Never. We are representative of people. We are not representative of crooks in the financial sector.
The government is exploring use of technology in disbursement of the fund, as well as create efficiency and transparency.
We have technology now, where you can now be able to show who gained access, where were they, and ensure that even from a central place, and central place can even be Turkana, from wherever you are, using technology, we can be able to facilitate and make the process of issuing money and loans to our young people, to our women, to our people with disabilities, that is done openly and transparently.
According to the Public Finance Management Biashara Kenya Fund Regulations 2020, the kitty will start with a seed capital of 2 billion shillings to be allocated by Parliament. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Now to the corporate scene, where the number of visitors to the Hell's Gate National Park in Naivasha has steadily increased, with the Kenya Wildlife Service exuding optimism that the tourism sector will recuperate in the coming months. Now at Hell's Gate, the management has embarked on a major customer care week targeting local tourists, whose number has been increasing after the easing of the COVID-19 containment restrictions. Details of this and our stories from the corporate scene.
At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, national parks and reserves across the country were closed, affecting tourist activities. The easing of COVID-19 containment measures in June has seen the number of visitors to parks, especially during weekends, rise sharply. The Kenya Wildlife Service is marketing its facilities, targeting local tourists, even though international visitors were also dropping in.
The visitor numbers are improving, and especially during the weekends, we get many visitors. We get up to 150 visitors in Hell's Gate National Park, which shows that the local tourism is improving.
This time round, we also want to open the Olukaria Hill, whereby we also want the customers to experience that trek of the hill, Olukaria.
Meanwhile, e-commerce platform Jumia has, in partnership with local restaurants, launched a food festival campaign seeking to raise awareness of the difficulties the restaurant industry has been facing in light of the COVID-19 restrictions. Jumia hopes the month-long campaign will encourage customers to order more food online from restaurants. As part of the festival, discounts of up to 50% and free delivery will be offered to consumers. In a statement, Jumia Kenya CEO Sam Shapate said the safest way to support our local restaurants and save jobs is to order online. We are launching the food festival campaign today with this in mind. We invite all customers to join in, order online and support your restaurants. Finally, with the rising middle class capable of spending on luxurious products, Myson Hennessy is collaborating with local artists in its World Odyssey campaign in a time when the coronavirus pandemic has affected sales of luxury goods. NSCXO is among the firm's top-selling brands worldwide for the last 1.5 century, following its launch in the United States in 1871. The firm attributes the popularity and success of the brand to a meticulous blending process over the years, which has enabled it to preserve its original quality and taste.
quality of taste. Now crossing over to the coastal scene and talking about matters of agriculture, where farmers drawn from the coastal counties of Kilifi, Tana River and Kwale have received 80 tons of drought-resistant seeds from Bayer East Africa in a move to cushion them from the economic challenges of COVID-19. Now, the gesture is also meant to boost food security in the country owing to the negative impacts of the pandemic.
Farmers drawn from Kwale, Kilifi and Tana River counties are upbeat after receiving a donation of 80 tons of drought-resistant seed from Bayer East Africa. Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi, who led the flagging off exercise at the county headquarters, said the intervention is a boost to food security since many farmers in the county were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Ingia majira tofauti na wakulima wako tayari kurudi kwa mashamba yao. Na kawaida kila mtu anataka mbegu ambayo inakuwa kwa haraka.
King said the hybrid and drought-resistant seeds will enable farmers to increase their productivity. He said the county government will partner with the Ministry of Agriculture to provide tractors and extension services to enable them harvest from the short trains.
Mweshimiwa is a special seed for this area because it is only maturing in 90 days to make sure that farmers, even if they don't have enough rain, in 90 days they have a crop.
Bayer East Africa representative Jonathan Kanyenge said they aim to provide small-scale farmers with the assistance needed to address the additional challenges they may be facing as a result of the coronavirus pandemic.
Now to matters tech, where new technology is changing lives of blind students and those with severe visual impairment. Now, the visual assistive technology does not change the eyesight but helps process the visual information and transfuses it into audio. Our reporter Purity Museo spoke to young Green Pemnis, a young man who confesses the quality of his life has significantly improved thanks to this technology.
Gives me a problem.
Young Green Pamenas is completely blind.
My parents, at first, they didn't realize that I was blind, but later, I think 2 years later, they started seeing signs. But I had eyes, but they were not seeing.
In a society where stigma associated with visual impairment is still a major hindrance to freedom for this category of people, gaining independence is all he wanted.
At that time, my eyes were painful. The doctors decided to remove them.
Like many in his situation, reading and writing was a major challenge for him while in school.
Sometimes maybe I was hitting myself on obstacles on the pathways.
Using a new computer-assistive technology that communicates visual information through audio, young Green feels liberated.
This is a personal computer. It uses a screen reader called NVDA. The meaning of NVDA is non-visual desktop access.
The technology allows visually impaired persons to activate the device with a simple tap on the escape command on the computer.
Space. Yeah. The visually impaired are they can use computer easily using the screen reader. Called NVDA.
Young Green, who is awaiting enrollment in university, has access to the technology courtesy of a program by Enable, a local organization empowering blind and visually impaired students in Africa.
Just being able to propel people to the next level and making sure that everybody is independent.
According to the World Health Organization, globally, at least 1 billion people have a near or distance vision impairment that could have been prevented or has yet to be addressed. According to the Kenya Society for the Blind, an estimated 224,000 people are blind, while another 750,000 are visually impaired. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
Now to the sporting arena, where Los Angeles Lakers beat Miami Heat 116-98 in a game of the NBA series last night. Now Lakers LeBron James has said his side still have a lot more work to do after they comfortably beat injury hit Miami Heat. Now Anthony Davis scored 34 points for the Lakers, with James adding 25 points and 9 assists from Jimmy Butler, and 23 points for the Heat, who lost point guard Goran Dragic and forward Bam Adebayo to injury. Now, Dragic, and Miami's lead scorer in the postseason, suffered a foot injury in the second quarter, while Adebayo left with a shoulder strain in the third. Lakers went into the series as overwhelmingly favorites to land a record qualifying for the 17th NBA championship title, now 10 years after their last final appearance. Now over to tennis, where three-time tennis champion Serena Williams has withdrawn from the French Open because of an Achilles injury. Now the 39-year-old had been scheduled to play her second round match against Bulgaria's Savannah Pironka. Now the American has won 23 Grand Slam single titles and was aiming to equal Margaret Court's all-time record of 24. Now Williams picked up the Achilles problem during her US Open semi-final defeat by Victoria Azarenka earlier this month. Now on Monday, she beat fellow American Christy Ann 7-6, 7-2, 6-0 to the first round at the Roland Garros, but said she was struggling physically. Williams won the French Open in 2002, 2013, 2015 and is currently ranked 9th in the world. Well, now that puts a cap to the lunchtime news this afternoon. Be sure to tune in to our subsequent bulletins at 7 o'clock for Darubini, as well as 9 p.m. for Business Insight. Remember, we are live and we appreciate each and every person who made this possible, including my sign language interpreter, who is Brian Adorni there. Yes, his name is Brian. Thank you very much. Then also we are going to be meeting up on Twitter. Thank you very much, William Makaburi, who's been watching the broadcast from Kilifi. We appreciate your feedback. I'm Regina Manyara. I wish you a great day ahead.
Vera Beauty College. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 22 7428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1 for a program that is objective and offers answers to matters economic, security, social, political, food, infrastructure, and setting the agenda. Join us for Charging Currents.
President Uhuru Kenyatta outlined his vision for the country.
I am just showing you what potential exists in this country if only we could just become visionary leaders, all of us together, and work together in partnership.
A vision of development and economic growth for the benefit of every Mwananchi. Every week on Project 254.
Watch it on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
On the next episode of
Hayuko. Nani? Huyo msichana hayuko.
Msalani ndani?
Nimeangalia kila mahali mpaka kwa mazulia hayuko.
Wewe wacha mchezo. Wewe ndio mlevu?
Ulianza nini kunifanya mimi mjinga?
Gaenda kwa serikali na ngapewa barua kwa hapa mpuko. Lakini hataki kusikia mbatu mambo ya huyu mtoto.
Kwa mafungo zako kwa.
Ya?
Hatujali kazi zenu
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Small and medium enterprises play a key role in growing Kenya's economy. President Uhuru Kenyatta's agenda is to create more jobs through SMEs and to empower Mwananchi.
Uwezo Fund imetuinua kutoka mahali ambapo tulikuwa pa chini sana.
This week on Project 254.
Na hiyo pesa ni ya kuinua sisi kibiashara. Tumekuwa chini sana kuamsha economy hii ya kuzungusha pesa kutoka kwa market, kutoka bodaboda mpaka iende mpaka mahali mtu ananunua maziwa.
Only on KBC Channel 1.
It'll be okay. I'll look after you.
You touch her and I'll kill you.
Walk away while you still can.
What do you think I am?
I'm looking for his Ruby.
Sorry, who? Everybody talks about power, but they don't really understand.
You help find her, please?
You need to contact the police.
No police.
Next on.
By the way, unaona nikapata kijana kama huyo, naweza ingia box, alafu anialete Kitui.
Ndoto za kutoka ghetto uko nazo
Mbaya.
Basi mtu akioa huko mazee ameomoka. Toshi mboga huko buda.
Umeoa? Whatever she did, I can do better.
When are we meeting her?
Who?
You know, the mysterious lady who's cleaning you up and keeping you away from the family.
Mimi siwezi taka kuomoka na jazz, hata kukubali kwa manzi yangu.
Lakini kama umekufia hiyo dem, usilalie masikio.
Siwezi mwagonga juu ya dem mwenye hata zinaangalia mara mbili.
Sometimes I tend to think that this woman is trying to take everything that belongs to dad and will be left in a cold.
Well, I hope you're wrong on that, Glenn.
Now, $61.6 billion, that's the amount of losses that the global sporting industry is counting in 2020 alone. This is due to the disruption of the sporting calendar following the global coronavirus attack. Revenue from tournaments, broadcasting deals, sponsorship contracts, and match tickets have been completely wiped out. This in turn has dug deep financial holes in the pockets of not just sports personalities, but also for support industries such as merchandise, betting, and ticketing. What is the future of sports? And can players do without the atmosphere that fans bring to the game? My name is Sharon Mashira. Now, major events across the world have been put on timeout as the global sporting industry awaits a slam dunk against the coronavirus. A multi-billion-dollar industry is at stake as the financial wreckage has become devastatingly clear. Here's how hard sporting in Africa has been hit.
It's definitely a tough time to be an athlete. We're not even halfway through 2020, but the coronavirus has dealt a heavy blow to sportsmen, sportswomen, and sports companies all over the world. Take, for example, rugby. My Players, a South African rugby organization, has said that $65 million will be lost if no rugby is played for the entire year. But let's not forget, South Africa has a debt relief fund all the way to $8 million for athletes and artists. Like basketball, just the other day we saw the NBA-backed Africa League postponed indefinitely. As you'd imagine, cash is tight, and players who are doing it officially now have to take up side jobs. In Cameroon, for example, basketball players are now PE teachers. In Nigeria, basketball players hired by clubs that are run by the government are